Anyways, here's a little update at the George Street and Hospital intersection in Sydney. Don't mind my terrible handwriting. I feel like I never improved since like grade 3, but that's besides the point. Yeah, so anyway, we have the cabinet in here. So right now we have this detector rack, which it's more so just for the button switches, but it's there if you need it, I guess, or if they ever had preemption. We have a modem. We have one spare port for SDLC if we wanted to add another Click 650 or something like that. We have our complex controller program with 60 logic statements. I'm not going to go through each individual one, but I'll give you an idea of what's happening. A little bit messy in here right now. We kind of did this during really, really terrible weather, and we just never really got a chance to clean it up, but it's on our list. We have to clean up some of our underground wiring because this other secondary for our phase 8 red is throwing it into flash, like a dual indication, so there's some wiring in there that's got to be fixed. We have this red wire which powers our highway light. Typically we install combo poles, which would be a much taller, so we have 5-meter poles and they would be much taller than that, and it would put our light up a bit higher, but we have some overhead primaries which would be encroaching on it, so we put it up as high as we were able to, almost as high up as the ones on the utility poles, but this is kind of a strange intersection, so we have private lighting. Well, it's not our lighting, but it's hospital lighting, and that kind of lights up the path. But the light over there and the light right here do a pretty decent job lighting up this intersection, but they didn't light up this area right here, and especially where this is a new signalized crosswalk, where before it was just uncontrolled and it was a protected permissive left, and it's just a strange orientation. Like the geometry of this intersection is less than ideal, and having the sidewalk going down the boulevard in the middle is, anyway, it's not good. The sidewalk really should be on the outside, and that would solve all of this, but it is what it is. So basically, like I talked about last time, we're going to zoom out here. We typically, when we do protected only left turns, they're on steel poles, and some people are still not getting it. This is one of the first spots that we installed the no left on red signage, pictogram signage, and a supplemental left turn signal sign, just to really emphasize that that's the left turn signal. So there used to also be an 8-meter arm on the right, and now there's 2 5-meter arms, so they kind of go over each lane. It's not an uncommon setup. Like HRM and Halifax has fairly similar setups with smaller intersections where a steel pole may not work. Like this is a pretty small intersection, but it sees, as you can see, it sees quite a bit of traffic. So we do have to allocate quite a bit of time to the left turn, especially in the morning. But we also need to make sure we balance the entire cycle length here. We need our stop bars repainted, and we need some like elephant trunk dotted lines on these roads too. But yeah, so we have the protected lefts here, which are good, because of it's an easy turn to take. You can take it you don't have to take it too sharply. So it's easy for somebody who's crossing at that crosswalk. It was easy for them to get hit, because technically, even if you have an advanced green, you'd have to yield to the pedestrian in that crosswalk, which is kind of crazy. And then another issue we were having, which is, it was an uncommon occurrence, with this space where this car is turning, that's also the way in and it's the way out. So it just narrows really strangely here. So it's almost like that slip lane median shouldn't be there. Like, it really, this whole intersection really almost should be widened in a way, either bringing the boulevard right to the roadway, like basically continuing that all the way over and like moving the entrance, or really just narrowing it down, and then having the driveway here is like very little traffic will come through there, which is not bad. But if somebody decides to go straight, if they're in direct conflict with cars that are turning left out of the hospital. So it was the choice was either to run it split phase, but it's not really necessary because you only have one left turn lane per direction. Well, this one's one left turn lane, that one's a shared all direction, so that, you know, you could do that, but protected only left also did the trick, and it was able to keep the cycle length shorter, because this intersection gets quite busy, especially with hospital traffic. In the morning, there's a lot of cars that turn left in here, so I've allocated like 30 seconds of green time in the morning and a recall, just in case somebody just happens to miss it. And it gets pretty backed up from that ramp. But the lights do the best they can. And then coming out of the hospital, a lot of the traffic, or most of the traffic here, is turning right at the end of the day. So we also added a right turn overlap, which is, you know, a common signal setup, but it's newer for the department anyway. So we've put in the solid right arrow here, and it's on a separate load switch from the flashing left turn arrow. And I've done that. I try to keep displays that are showing different directions or arrows, or lefts or rights. It's more ideal to keep them on separate load switches. I know some jurisdictions will share them if they're running out of like space in their cab, which I understand. But the ideal thing here is that I could actually bring the arrow up during phase 4 yellow, so cars can kind of continuously make that right turn. Now, mind you, if the pedestrian phase is on, or if phase 8 is on, the arrow won't come up until after either the ped clearance is done or after phase 8 is in an all red state. So there's no conflicting movements. So the green arrow comes on right away, so cars can keep going. And then the amber time for the right turn overlap is timed with the phase 1 left turn amber time, which is 3.5 seconds. And then there's also some logic statements. So basically, if there's also nobody in the left turn lane, but there's somebody in the right turn lane, or the detection zone that's specifically at the stop bar, it will actually call up the left turn overlap during phase 4, because even if no one's turning left into the hospital, it makes it like I still need to move cars out of the hospital. And phase 4, I've only allocated like, I think 20 seconds of max 2. So like I don't need a lot of time on phase 4. Like it gets, like phase 7, getting people going left, like that's good. Phase 4 really doesn't need that much time, unless it's timing with phase 8, which again only needs like 7 to 10 seconds. but I need right turn overlap time. Some people are still really not getting it. Yeah. So, just the right turn overlap, like everybody's going right. Oh, man. People are... So, yeah. So, yeah, the overlap comes on. Yeah, so the overlap can be on for a maximum of, well, I guess if that's 20 seconds, that would be on for a maximum of like 24 seconds. Because you got a bit of extra time with the overlap, which is ideal. And then I also have my longest all red clearance. So because the distance from that stop bar to get past that crosswalk is quite far, and the same to get from that stop bar to get past that crosswalk. So I have a 3-second all red clearance and a 4-second red extension. So if they're into the red extension zone on the all red clearance, it will still extend it an extra second, just because there's a lot of time, like the car needs a lot of time to make that turn, especially with these crosswalks. Like if somebody steps out into that crosswalk over there, or this one right here, while the car is still trying to make that turn, it's not going to be good for them. And that's why, you know, I've really put these signs up and tried to really just emphasize that you can't make that left on red. Now, I don't think, like if I had steel poles, I don't think I would need that, but just because they're on separate arms, it's just kind of a different looking display. Like I said, not uncommon, but definitely new to this area. And especially with there's a big hospital expansion here, there's a lot of work going on. So yeah, no, it's one of those things that's just gonna help move traffic in this area a bit more. But yeah, the logic statements in here just help hold the phase 13 pedestrian on. And this is running the ASC3 firmware because I'm using compatibility mode. It was just a lot easier to build a program with the ASC3 firmware. Not to say that it can't be done in EOS, but ASC3 just compatibility mode's just always been really good. And to rebuild it with no serve and using barriers, I wouldn't be able. I can't. I haven't gotten to a point where I can put the phase 13 ped, even if it's in a separate ring, it still has to cross barriers, so I'd almost have to run it as a ped overlap, but right now I don't. I run it as a parent phase, so phase 13 says it's green, but it's just a pedestrian phase. So you can see that it's counting down now, and when it's timing walk or ped clearance, it will hold phase 4, but there's other logic to mitigate that. So you can see it's changing now. And then there's that really long all red clearance. And yeah, so phase 13 is basically the only time it's not in walk is during phase 1 left turn, or if phase 8 happens to come up. If phase 1 doesn't have a call, it could potentially stay in walk forever, and I only have it set to walk recall during the day plan. At night you do have to push the button, and I also have phase 2 and 6 go into ped recall. So actually so somebody did press the phase 4 button. So this also has the extended walk feature and the protected walk feature installed as well. So we'll kind of show you what it looks like with the standard button push. So the phase 7 left turn will come up, and phase 4 will stay in red as an LPI for 7 seconds, but people kind of get it. So now phase 7 is red and phase 8 is green. that situation where somebody is coming straight through, which would be in direct conflict with a left turning vehicle. So that's why we did that. So they're yellow, red, then the arrow comes up, so it's not a conflicting movement. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to do the extended walk. We'll go button down. So in the controller, you can see that I don't think I pushed it. It's supposed to be phase 10 and 12. Yeah, I might not have pushed it hard enough. Maybe the button's not working. Oh, the button might actually not be working. Might actually have to change that. Oh. Okay, no, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is just push it in here. So it should be 4, but we're going to do extended, which is going to bring up 10 and 12. And then that's going to also omit ped phase 8 on this next phase. And then when that logic flag is off, it will come back up again. So now 4 and 8 is on. But I will have to change that button. Does fully protected walk, and then it's going to bring up 4 and 7. So now that's done. We'll walk recall. Just to get up a no parking sign here. Sometimes people will park here, which is in my detection zone. It's got my new stickers on here. You can see we have that's the red that's off over there, so hopefully we'll get that fixed soon. So there, now we got green in this direction, which is just a permissible movement. I'm going to do a single press. I have these two pedestrian phases are timed separately because they're obviously a different length. But the way that they're phased and the way that the logic statements are in the controller, it will hold them. But I can't do a stop time because since they're also ped overlaps and there's running compatibility mode, I can't do a stop time. Otherwise, controller doesn't like it. So basically, I just have some additional logic in place to help hold the pedestrian phase for a little bit longer so then they can always clear together. You can see the one across the street is clearing. It's only a 9-second ped, so it wasn't really warranted for countdowns there. We could have done it, but we didn't really need to. So then you got our walk is on. And then it's going to go green. Zoom out here, so then it's ped clear through yellow. 1, 0, back to red, and then it's back to the arrow phases on here. So we got our overlaps on. So now it's gapping out. So that's red, and then there's 3 seconds, and then both of these come on together. See, we have our push buttons for nighttime recall. We have no left on red. There was supposed to be a left turn signal sign, but I think it blew off and got damaged, so just have to put that back up. The only issue here is that the lane designation for the right turn lane is actually a through right. But there's like nobody going straight, so it's not really an issue. So yeah, so now you see our head clearance. Show you what it looks like if we do a protected pedestrian phase and how it works with the pedestrian overlap with phase 13. So we want to hold it down. Now the protected phase is called. I still have a walk, so I'm going to come back over here. Starting to clear together. So it will actually be in don't walk if you run the protected phase, which is fine. And actually we have somebody coming out of phase 8, so we'll see how that works. So yeah, so that's clearing. Still gonna go anyway. So phase 8 is now green. Yellow. And then arrow. And I'll show you what that looks like with if you do a standard ped phase 4 and there's no ped phase 8 call. Good. Zoom out here again. I'll go this way now. So it's good we get both walks. I think I have a spare button. It does work, but it's really, you have to push it in really hard. So I think I'm just going to change it anyway. But you can see that we've called up ped phase 4. It's going to go into green. So it's going to go ped clear through yellow. Or it should anyway, or maybe not. Okay, yeah, so basically you saw that the green arrow does not come on until we're in don't walk. Because if we have a ped clear through yellow, if you do an advance overlap, the arrow will still come up during the ped clearance, which is a conflict. And I know some engineers will say, oh, solid arrows are permissive and whatever, but they can, yeah, anyway, my arrow, if you see an arrow at a Public Works, Nova Scotia Public Works intersection, it's a protected turn, whether it's flashing or solid. And I'm sure the new act will help maybe determine flashing versus solid, but you know, then you get into the whole argument with flashing amber or yellow arrows. That's a conversation for another time. But yeah, that's pretty much the rundown of the intersection. We have the crosswalks lit up. Everything seems to be working good. Detection's working. The signals are working. Timing is good. Just got to clean up here a bit. You can see I have my second ped isolation relay. So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, and 13. Loops are removed. Yeah, and she so far so good. So there you go.